This is Jeff Gilbert, and I want to welcome everybody to our Monday mentoring call. And if you're listening to this on YouTube later, then it'll probably be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, something like that. Hang on, I'm going to mute those tones. Well, we're only like 2 days away from a new year. And I guess if you're in Asia when you hear this, you'll say it's closer than that. I forgot. I apologize. For those of you that are new to For Life and you just joined this call, I'm a Platinum International Diamond with For Life Research. I was happy to hear Dave Phillips, who's a Gold International Diamond from Seattle, Washington, be on this call. It's great to have you on, Dave. I feel so blessed, and I know many of you do, about this company and about this opportunity. It was about 17, I'm losing track. See, I flunked math. In 1998, let's just put it that way, it was in December that I signed up, and I did it sort of reluctantly a little bit, because having going through some experiences at other companies, and it wasn't very pleasant. And but I can remember Dave Daughtry calling me, and at that time I owned a house. It was an antebellum. It was built in 1860. So I was out painting the house outside for therapy, and but I can remember Dave kept calling me every day. And he kept saying to some of the leaders, I don't think he's going to do anything. And so finally he called me and said, are you going to do something? And that was right before, a couple of days before January, like it is now. And I said, yeah, I'll start January 2nd. That's when I'll start. And so when people tell me that it's hard to get the people to look at opportunities in December, keep me in mind, okay? Because that was the month that I actually signed up, and then January 2nd, I said, you know what? This is a new year before me, and when I get to the end of that year, I don't want to have any regrets about the decision I made to go with this company. I think Dave Phillips could say the same thing, too. I know he can. And many other leaders. Matter of fact, right now in For Life, we have over 100 millionaires. That's pretty powerful. So there's so many, and so many who are not millionaires that are so blessed, with great incomes and freedom. But now, for those of you that are new, and for those of you that have been in, let's say, for some years, the questions we have to think about is 2015. And how will you feel? Think about it. This time next year, what do you want to be able to say? What do you see yourself saying? I hope you say the same things that I said, because I'll tell you, when I got to the end of that first year, I looked back and I said, I made the right decision, and I have no regrets. I pray that that'll be the case for you, and that's what I wanted to focus on tonight, is what we have to do to get there. Now, it's such a broad subject, and I don't want to go into the science of success of network marketing. I mean, I'd like to, but it's impossible to do that on a short call. But I think some of the things that face us today are very common, and some of these are really what I don't know, they're roadblocks, I guess you could call them. But I think it's things like that matter so much, because when we come into this business, some of the questions that I ask, and why these questions, I guess, even matters, because we have to learn right from the start what Stephen Covey said in 7 Habits. We need to begin with the end in mind. We have to have a compelling reason to do this and stay committed to it. A compelling reason, and we have to stay committed to it. So we have to begin with the end in mind. What is it you want? What is it I want? What do you really want? And I'm talking about your life. about your life, what it is you want to do with your life, because this is a vehicle. I did not, lay around dreaming one day, I really hope I can join 4Life, or I can come in 4Life. And we use 4Life as a vehicle to get where we want. 4Life is not where we want to be. Does that make sense? Now, I love this company dearly. Steve, too, Dave Lisenby. But I promise you, Steve's in it for what he wants out of his life, so is Dave Livy. We're all for the same reasons. It's what we want. So it really means that we have to get brutally honest with ourselves about some things. And some of those things now that I want to focus on are things that have kept us maybe from reaching some goals in 2014. Some of our goals. We might say, I've been at this, and it's just not happening like I want it to be, and so on and so forth. There were three things I wanted to touch on, and I'll get started on the first. For some of you, it's just been for lack of a system. I can tell you that when I started 17 years ago over 17 years ago in 4Life, back then it was really simple. When me and Dave Phillips joined, they had a website. There wasn't much content on it, but we had an 800 hotline. And so we kept it very simple. We just gave out the website, gave out the hotline, did a 24-hour follow-up, and we put them in the business. We didn't drive around doing meetings. We didn't mail out 5-pound packages. We just kept it simple. In my first 90 days, we put in 800 people. They called me and told me I was an international diamond. I said, oh, okay. That was the top pin at that time. So we kept it really simple. And that was the system, what we did back then. And it worked quite well because we didn't complicate it. We didn't create all these steps. So for me to repeat that today, it just wouldn't work, because what I did back then, I wouldn't even get to diamond if I did that today. Why? Because things have changed. Principles never change, right? The tools change. The whole world changed. When the World Wide Web started developing, everything changed. So if you've been struggling with your business, some of you new guests on this call, it may be, again, that the system you are currently using isn't going to deliver those kind of results that you're hoping. And that's simply because that for the traditional MLM model, or network marketing model, that is a model in which the process of prospecting and sponsoring has to be based on a meeting. That is not working well. Not in affluent countries. How many times have you heard, or I heard, we can't get the English market in the U.S.? I've heard the same thing out of Europe with the traditional way of doing MLM. Traditional means, again, what I just said, using that type of model that we've been using for 20, 30 years. It's really true in Brazil as well. The question we need to ask ourselves is, really, have we learned to be flexible and use an online system? In our case, we have one. And that's why we have it. Now, because in countries where people are not that connected regularly, the traditional method is still the best method. If I go to the Philippines, I promise you I'm going to be doing a lot of meetings. But even those people need an online system, because there's over 20 million Filipinos that work outside the Philippines, and they want to introduce the opportunity to them, right? So even they need that. But to build within that country a traditional approach is certainly the way to do it. But in affluent countries today, where people are online regularly, that will not be the method. We need to come around to that. If you haven't come around to it, keep looking at your check. And I'm being serious, because if we observe human behavior wherever we go, the malls, Starbucks, anywhere you go, I can tell you 10 years ago, people would just look at one another and talk. Now they don't. They always look at their smartphones. Isn't it crazy? It's crazy, but it's true. It is what was interesting because this statistic is only a few months old. It said that in the year 2000, there were 361 million people online. Now it's over 3 billion. Think about that. In 14 years, it went from 361 million to now over 3 billion. It's amazing how much of the world is getting online now. I had a man contact me from Nigeria who wanted to join For Life, and I started explaining about, the system, and he just said right away, look, we're very much online here. If we want to look and be a 21st century professional network marketer, we have to understand this, because what affluent societies connect with the most is technology, and it's become the number one language of the 21st century. After that, then you have English, Spanish, and everything else. The tools that we have now, and we'll have in April after our convention, as well as our back office and our education system, are exactly what people need today. That's what your Generation Y, Generation X, even your baby boomers prefer it. They prefer digital. They prefer no nonsense. And I'll promise you, since 80% of the workforce in network marketing are women, and they have responsibilities, family, children, and all that, very much they depend on an online system. Remember, this system's like Transfer Factory. It only works if you use it. If you're not enrolled in the system, do so immediately. And if you are enrolled, my question for you is, have you uploaded your photo, and have you uploaded your story? If you haven't, please do that, because only then are you really going to be truly online and have the tools that you need. Now, here's the second thing I wanted to talk about. And this is another reason why some struggle in this business. And that is the question about whether we're really teachable. Are we teachable? I can tell you that on my second level, there's an international diamond who I won't say his name, but I can remember when I talked to one of the corporate leaders at For Life, he talked about him, and he said, Jeff, will you work with him? And I told him, I said, listen, I have opened the door many times to help him out, but he is the Lone Ranger. I mean, he works alone. And I can tell you, friends, it's been to his hurt that he does that, because I've watched his volume continue to get, just to shrink and shrink, and he still doesn't get it. He still doesn't get it. But if we see that in us, what can we do? First thing is we need to get rid of our pride, and we need to ask for help. I see leaders who for years have been stuck at diamond, stuck at presidential, stuck at international, golds that, they should have been platinums years ago. But they can't break the barriers that's holding them back. They can do it. But what they're doing is doing the same things and expecting different results. I'm not disappointed by this fact, though. I've always understood that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I'll say it again. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Again, that's when the student is ready. And that question of when, that when can take months. That's if they're smart. Could take years. I feel bad if it does. Or they may never do it. Like the one I just mentioned, and they just fade away. Their ego just gets in the way. When we think about ego, E-G-O, E meaning edging, G, goals, O, out. And that's really what the ego does. It actually pushes any chances they have for success away. It really takes humility to ask for help. It takes humility to learn and grow. When we see leaders doing well, we need to ask why. Why are they doing well? That's why I've always made myself available to any of you leaders who really want to succeed in For Life. I love to see you grow and prosper. We had a lot of Spanish friends just here. We had, 30 here. No, it was 60. I lost the number. It was crazy. It was 60. They just showed up, they were here vacationing, and we had a party at our house for them and all that, welcomed them and all that. It was so nice to be able to do that. But we did a little bit of a training, which is nice, but they wanted to learn, how do we do this business today? What methods should we use? So we need to be teachable. Keep your mind free and open. I try to. I'm always asking questions. What's happening out there, who's doing what, and I always like learning. And the same thing with our system, our online system. We're always looking for ways to improve it. By the way, just a quick mention, the trifold brochure has been uploaded to the system, and it's a new one, and it will have a QR code, which will make it really nice when you go into town. You ladies can pull it out of your purse, hand it to somebody. They can scan that QR code and immediately be looking at the 10-minute video. It's a very nice brochure that will explain the 3 trends: network marketing, the wellness industry, social media, and how you can cash in on it. So it's going to be much better than what it was before. Now here's the other, the third, and that is it's just a common problem that I see with a lot of leaders, and that is personal growth. They're just not growing. They're not growing within. Have you ever heard the saying, work harder on yourself than on your team? There's a lot of wisdom in that statement, because high achievers in this business are attitude builders. The ones that crash and burn fail in this. They may be doing good for a while, but like a plane that takes off and is gaining speed but losing altitude, it's only a matter of time before finally it crashes. All of us need to have a personal growth program. We might think, who's got time for that? I'm so busy trying to prospect leaders. It reminds me of a story about a young man. I heard this many years ago. A young man that was hired to be a lumberjack. The first day he went out and chopped down 5 trees. The second day he chopped down 3 trees. And the third day he barely got 1 tree down. He went into the office and threw his axe down in front of his boss and said, "I quit. The first day I chopped down 5 trees. The second day 3. And today just barely 1. The older experienced lumberjack laughed and said to him, "You should have remembered what we told you before you started, that you need to sharpen that axe at the end of every day before you begin the next. But you didn't have time for that, only time to chop trees." Friends, we've got to sharpen our minds. We can't go through the process of building an organization and not build our attitudes, not build our beliefs, our understanding of people. We would be kidding ourselves if we think we can be successful in this business, always put out, never take in to ourselves. It just doesn't work. So how do we get started? It's easy. You just get started each day with a book of your choice. But let me ask you this. Have you read some of the classics? How to Win Friends and Influence People? Boy, that's a good one. That taught me a lot in network marketing when I got started, about people and how they think. Or how about Think and Grow Rich? Or how about Jim Rohn? Have you read any of his materials? He's excellent. Or Anthony Robbins, John Maxwell. Speaking about Anthony Robbins, many of you know my story about when I got started in this business. I was broke, and I got the money to just by selling a junk truck just to get that product. But what I didn't tell many of you is that every day when I began my day, I would listen to an audio cassette called Unlimited Power. I also had the book. But I would listen to that cassette, and I would take notes. I would make affirmations. Now keep in mind, I'm totally broke at that point. I mean, pathetically broke. But that was my motivation, how I began every day, and I kept brainwashing myself with this stuff that Anthony taught. And it was quite awesome. I started my personal growth journal, and I recorded my thoughts to read later just to see how much I had grown. The one thing that Anthony Robbins taught me is that a life that is worth living is worth recording. And it helped me get beyond my fears. My fears that I could not do this business. I really didn't think I was cut out for it. I can remember saying to myself many times, maybe I'm just not the person. I don't have the personality for this business. Maybe it's just not for me. And the reason was that I tried several network marketing companies before. I had one that I experienced some modest success in, but it was more negative than it was positive. And the one thing that Anthony Robbins taught me is that the past doesn't equal the future. And that is that all those failures in the past, they did not predestine me for failure in for life. He also taught me how to smash that negative image or images of failure and see a different mental picture of the future. I mean, I can remember, some of those images back in those other companies, me trying to stand up and do a meeting. And I would shake and get nervous. It was embarrassing. Horrible. Really was. I can remember when I was so broken and I was working at Sears Roebuck trying to sell vinyl siding, and people would walk by and say, "Hey, will you look at the siding?" And some of the people from one of those companies I was in at that time, they came by and saw me and just laughed. They said, "Look at him selling vinyl siding. What a loser." See, I had a lot of those images, a lot of pain. So when I came into For Life, I always had that fear. It's just going to repeat. It's just going to repeat. It's just going to repeat. And Anthony, what he taught was smash it. Smash it. And not just smash it, but replace it with a positive image. See yourself. See yourself getting that award, that trophy at that pin level. See yourself with those checks. See yourself in that car. See yourself in that house of your dreams. It was after 18 months of pushing that I was moving into one of those homes. That was so exciting. But I kept on reading that information over and over again until I finally had it in my brain. The one thing that I've appreciated is that we all stand on the shoulders of other men. We need to learn and commit to self-education. Did you know that 50% of all high school graduates in the United States never read another book after they graduate? They see education as something that ends when you graduate. Mentors never graduate. Successful people understand there is no final diploma. Think about this. What if you strive to be 1% better each day in personal growth? That is, read more, learn more. What if you strive to be 1% better each day in prospecting directly or indirectly through your leaders? That means helping your leaders, when they have a prospect, speak to that person. I do it all the time, even though I haven't sponsored directly in over 10 years. Or think about striving to be 1% better if we just in follow-up and mentoring our leaders. Or 1% better in taking time for physical exercise. Think about it. If we strove to be better in all those areas, do you realize that in 100 days, you would be 100% better than you are now? In 100 days. That's a little more than 3 months. That means by convention, you'll become 100% better. You'll be better ranked. For those of you that are PD, you can be ID. For those of you who are ID, you can be gold. For those of you who are gold, you really can be a platinum if you choose to be. You can also have a better team because you don't want to do that alone, do you? You want to teach all your leaders to do this. Isn't that what makes a great team a great team? We talk in the United States about who's going to go to the Super Bowl and all that. Well, the final teams that do are very great teams. And I want to see you guys go to the Super Bowl. That is, reach your dreams. Reach your dreams. And then think about it. When that happens, when you make that improvement, then you can go to the convention with your team. You'll go to a whole new level, especially with the new products coming out. One thing I want to mention, too, is that in our business, it doesn't matter what level you're at, diamond, presidential, international, gold, platinum, your business at times will always plateau. Don't get discouraged when it does. That is a natural process of moving an organization to maturity. It's just part of healthy growth, and it helps you stabilize your leaders. After that, though, after a period of time, it's time to push. And by striving to be 1% every day better, that gives us the edge to climb to that new level of growth. We have the greatest opportunity in our hands. And you know what? In April, it's going to get a whole lot better. Will you be at convention? Will you commit to these very things I'm talking about? Being teachable, using the system, and then striving right now to be better at personal growth and helping your leaders to be better at personal growth. I know you can. I know you want this. Believe in yourself, because I believe in you leaders. You know, you are not put on earth to struggle and to eke out an existence. You were born to lead and to help others, and for this, there will always be a great reward. Don't sell this for a bag of excuses. 2015 can be your best year of your life, and it should be. Do you see yourself on the front cover of the Summit magazine? Do you see yourself in your dream home, enjoying your family and places you love? Keep these images in front of you. As Winston Churchill once said, he would never surrender. Never surrender. You don't ever surrender your dreams. You surrender your dreams, you surrender your family. You would surrender your children. Can you live with that? I know you couldn't. And I couldn't live with it either. So that's what we have to do. In 3 days from now, 2015 is going to begin. Let's do it right. Let's commit to these things I spoke about. And I look forward to, hearing about your success, reading about you in the Summit magazine, seeing your faces, moving up to pen levels. This success is really an inside job. It really is, isn't it? It's really all about you. We put so much emphasis on the compensation plan. We put so much emphasis on our product, our great product transfer factor. So much emphasis. But you know what? The truth of the matter is, if you isolate those two things, nothing happens. Nothing happens. You know why? Because all this happened because of great leaders. Where we are in For Life today, the history of the company, our growth, everything, is all because a group of dedicated leaders decided to go to work. And they just did it. And the most important, I should say, ingredient to this success, to this process, is you. It's you. People buy you before they buy the product. People buy you before they buy your opportunity. And if you are sold, they will follow you. If you believe in this, they will follow you. And people are looking for that. They're looking for leaders. There's not a lot of leadership in some of this world, but people are certainly looking for it. And if you come across as a person with conviction that you believe in this, they will listen to you. A lot of great things are going to happen for you in 2015. I believe that. I believe that. And we're going to see a lot of things change for the best. I'm not going to say for the better. It certainly will get better. I think we have a phenomenal company in our product line, but it's certainly going to be a turning point in April. Things that Dr. Chris Lockwood is going to unveil, the body transformation product as well as other products that are going to complement that. That is going to be a major turning point. You're going to see a lot of young people wanting to join our company. I'm so excited for you. I really am. And this is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Whereas in the past, we might have started drawing people at the age of 35 and up. We're going to start drawing them at 21. You watch. So get excited. Get motivated. Let's be determined to stay positive, and then please do everything you can to get you and your team to convention. It will be a major turning point for this company. It's going to be huge. It's going to be big. And we're also going to hear some of the studies that they've been doing at Auburn University. In our literature in the past, things that we are, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say vague on, but generic in a way. The language about how we describe our products will no longer be. We're going to be able to say things, make claims that we could never do without these studies. And with some of the changing laws in the FDA coming up that they're going to require of companies, these other companies are not going to be prepared. For Life Research will be prepared. And we're ready for it. The company is looking ahead, far ahead, and it's protecting your business. What a great company we have. What a great year in front of us. I want to thank all of you for being on this call tonight. And now I'm going to open it up, and we can listen to the screaming kids or whatever noise we find. And if we don't get any, that's great. We'll just say good night and Happy New Year. Thank everyone for being on this call, and now I'll open it up.